quiet for a minute because I've been collecting as much information as possible over the past month just so I can be accurate. And it's finally time to unleash the facts.
No one ever dogged
Yes, sir.
Oscar De La Hoya the way Floyd did. Every single press conference, he treated him like he was a.
He can't be a successful promoter if he's always wanting to be in the spotlight. His desire to be always noticed.
Oscar De La Hoya did not hold back. In a heated conversation, he went straight at Floyd Mayweather and accused him of turning boxing into something far different from what the sport was built on. According to Oscar, boxing is supposed to be about greatness, sacrifice, pride, and legacy. But in Floyd's world, everything now seems to circle back to money, attention, and image. And when Oscar talks like that, people listen, because this is not random criticism from the outside. This is coming from a man who shared the ring with Floyd, sold one of the biggest fights in boxing history with him.
You say you want to be a world champion. You say you want to take this sport serious. Then take it serious. What is this? This is not a popularity contest.
De La Hoya's point was sharp and personal. He said Floyd mastered the role of boxing's villain better than almost anybody. He knew how to control the cameras, manipulate the crowd, and turn negativity into profit. Oscar admitted that during their rivalry, Floyd fully embraced being the bad guy while he himself had to carry the burden of being the clean-cut face of the promotion. That meant extra pressure, more expectations, and a very different kind of public scrutiny. Floyd, meanwhile, seemed to enjoy the hate because in his system, hate still meant attention, and attention always meant money. Oscar gave him credit for understanding the game, but he also suggested that relying on disrespect, ego, and provocation instead of—
It's like that rivalry, the villain and the good guy, you know? And Floyd, this is where Floyd is smart. He knows how to play that villain guy, you know?
And you're promoting the fight.
Yeah, and I'm promoting the fight.
Yeah.
And I'm promoting.
And to be fair, the business side of that rivalry was enormous. Oscar has often pointed out just how massive their event became, not only in terms of boxing history, but in terms of money. Their fight generated staggering attention, huge pay-per-view numbers, and proved that boxing was no longer just sport. At the top level, it had become a full-scale entertainment business. That is one reason the rivalry still matters today. It helped define the modern era, where promotion, narrative, image—
Did that generate?
At the time, yeah, it was the record-setting pay-per-view. I think we generated something like close to, all in, like close to 400 million. Yeah, in one night.
That's the deeper argument De La Hoya keeps making. For him, the sport should mean more than cashing checks. He believes a fighter is supposed to chase immortality, not just income. He talks about honor, sacrifice, and proving yourself against danger rather than carefully maximizing profit at every turn. In his view, Floyd's genius in business is real, but it came at the expense of the sport's deeper values. Oscar sees a sharp difference between using boxing to build a legacy and using boxing to build a brand. And when he looks at Floyd, he sees someone whose first instinct is always to protect the money image, protect the marketability, and protect the machine, even if that means pushing legacy questions to the side.
Promote that fight with Mayweather. Would you have pulled out?
Probably. Yeah, probably. Because there was too much, put the money aside. For me, it's about pride. For me, it was about, you know, man, I want to have a winning.
Is why Floyd's constant public focus on wealth continues to divide people. He doesn't just mention money, he turns it into the headline every time. Mansions, jewelry, jets, gate numbers, event totals, and comparisons with other fighters have all become part of the way he talks about himself. And critics say that obsession has started to overshadow what should already be a secure all-time boxing legacy. One example that kept people talking was when Floyd compared his own earning power to names like Anthony Joshua, arguing that he did not need giant crowds or endless hype to produce major money. To Floyd, that was proof he was operating on another level. To his critics, it sounded like a man still desperate to remind the world he is #1 in every category, not just inside the ring.
I guess, because, he talks about his money a lot, so he compared, like, I guess, his fight with Pacquiao to Anthony Joshua, and he was saying, like, basically, they didn't need 100,000 or 90,000 people to do X amount of dollars. Here, I'm gonna let you listen to it. Here's what he had to say verbatim. Here's what Floyd said about Anthony Joshua.
Talk about that. I was in Guinness Book of World Record for breaking all the records? You didn't tell them that?
Of course you have.
For generating, what, billions in the sport of boxing? That, or having the fastest sellout crowd?
But
I mean, and, you know, those guys done, you know, and I was watching a fight when I was at my Miami house. I was at my Miami home. I was watching a fight with Klitschko and
Nextissimo. That's where the word jealousy starts entering the discussion. Some analysts believe Floyd's constant comparisons reveal something deeper than confidence. They argue that even after everything he achieved, he still reacts strongly whenever another fighter gets too much love, too much attention, or too much credit. Instead of letting his own accomplishments stand on their own, he often appears to re-enter the conversation just to remind everyone that he was richer, smarter, or more successful. And that behavior has led some people to wonder, what really drives him now? Is it still love for the sport? Is it legacy? Or is it the need to stay above everybody in the public imagination, especially when it comes to money?
That this is electrifying, sort of like the Pacquiao and Mayweather. And I said, well, we didn't have to have all those hundreds of thousands to do a $74 million game. So, and like I said before, but those guys put on a hell of a show. Like I said before, you know, I'm just on another planet, and you definitely know it. Because you've been around for years, and you see the same thing over and over and over again.
All right, so there you have it. Mayweather basically saying that, you know, he's on another planet and all this stuff, and that, you know, they didn't need 90,000 people and all this stuff. But, I mean, let's look at it like this. Jealousy, I noticed from Floyd, and it shouldn't be that way, because Floyd, you know, regardless of what I have to say about his career, I have my opinions on it. You know, he was an A-level fighter. Skills out, you know, had skills, was a really skilled fighter, A-level.
Of course, all of this takes us back to 2007, the fight that changed everything between Oscar De La Hoya and Floyd Mayweather. That night was huge for both men, but especially for Floyd. He was already highly respected as a fighter, but that event helped launch him into a completely different financial category. It was the kind of fight that didn't just make headlines, it reshaped careers. The money was enormous, the attention was global, and the event helped turn Floyd from a brilliant boxer into a full-fledged pay-per-view phenomenon. In many ways, that was the moment Pretty Boy
into Sports Center, the former #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world, Floyd Mayweather. Floyd, welcome back. We've missed you, Floyd.
Hey, how you doing? I'm not no former #1 pound-for-pound fighter. I'm just saying I'm the best fighter in the sport of boxing. No one has dethroned me, so how am I not pound-for-pound the best fighter in the world? You tell me.
Because you retired?
But have I ever been beat?
But what happens is you informed Ring Magazine you were retiring as welterweight champion.
I already forgot who I'm talking to.
But Oscar has always felt Floyd refuses to properly acknowledge who really carried the bigger commercial weight at that time. De La Hoya was the established attraction, the household draw, the man who had already built a massive fan base and crossover profile. Floyd, however, has long insisted that he was always the best fighter in the room and the true center of the event. He has repeatedly defended his legacy in absolute terms, acting as though critics, former champions, and even his biggest rivals simply failed to understand what they were looking at. That is part of what has kept the Oscar-Floyd tensions alive all these years. Oscar sees a man who benefited from the spotlight he helped create, but who still refuses to give him real credit for what that moment did for his career.
In 2 fights.
Well, one was with Oscar De La Hoya, who was the cash king.
I'm the cash cow, please.
Not compared to Oscar De La Hoya. Have you drawn as much as Oscar De La Hoya in pay-per-view, Floyd?
De La Hoya been on pay-per-view 1,000 times. It took me two times, 3.5 million homes. Me, Floyd Mayweather.
No, with Oscar De La Hoya, though.
Oscar De La Hoya didn't do nothing. Did he win?
It was a split decision loss, as a matter of fact.
Come on, man.
But it was with him.
Once again, like I said before, we're talking to Brian Kinney, a man of many traits, a master of nothing.
Floyd, you waited over a year to come back. Why not wait one more weekend until Pacquiao and Hatton was over and we knew the winner?
I don't have to wait for no.
De La Hoya has even told a story that keeps the rivalry burning. After their fight, he says Floyd Mayweather Sr. privately told him that Oscar had actually done enough to win. Whether people believe that story or not, Oscar has repeated it enough that it has become part of the mythology around the fight. He also says their contract included a rematch clause, and that Floyd's sudden retirement right after the bout conveniently allowed him to avoid running it back. In Oscar's mind, that was not an accident. He sees it as part of a larger pattern. Protect the image, protect the record, and avoid any situation that introduces unnecessary risk. That belief explains why Oscar's criticisms of Floyd never seem to fade. For him, the issue is not only who won once, it's what Floyd has always chosen to avoid afterward.
Fighter, you know, deep down inside, you know if you win or you lose. Did you know? I felt that I won. I felt that it can go either way, especially when Mayweather's father came straight at me and he goes, Oscar, you beat my son.
Wait, he told you right after the fight?
Oh, yeah. And funny story about that too. We had a rematch clause in our contract. This is something I negotiated as well. If he beats me, I get a rematch. It was a 1 year clause. Guess what he did? He retired for 1 year and 1 day.
Are you joking?
No. True story. Nobody knows this, but it's in the contract.
What? So how often did you guys try to get another thing going? It was always no, not interested. No, not interested.
Yeah, not interested. Not interested. I'm retiring. I'm out of the sport. But sure enough, a day after that contract was over, he announces his unretirement.
And that leads directly into one of the harshest criticisms Floyd faces even now. He cannot stand the idea of anyone being placed above him, either in talent or in earnings. His whole public image is built on being untouchable. The best fighter, the biggest earner, the smartest businessman, the cleanest record, the highest level. So whenever another fighter starts getting too much admiration, Floyd often jumps back into the spotlight to reassert his place. Whether it's Canelo, Pacquiao, younger stars, or modern moneymakers, he seems determined to make sure no one fully takes the throne in public conversation. Critics say that need for constant reaffirmation is exactly what makes him look vulnerable, because truly secure greatness usually doesn't need to announce itself every week.
Did I not beat the most world champions?
Yes, you did.
Okay. In the least amount of fights?
Yes, you did.
Who got the highest gate?
Floyd Mayweather.
Who made the most money?
You did.
Who was the most accurate fighter of all time?
You were.
So it's basically saying that...
The greatest of all time.
Okay.
All right.
Even Floyd's comments about Muhammad Ali have fueled that tension. He has, at times, placed himself above Ali in terms of career achievement or success, and that is where many people feel he pushes too far. Oscar De La Hoya has strongly rejected that comparison, calling Floyd one of the most overrated figures in boxing history in terms of how he speaks about himself versus how others remember true legends. Oscar's view is that greatness is not only about numbers and undefeated records. It is also about spirit, risk, timing, and the willingness to face defining...
Overrated boxer. Well, you don't want to get in trouble here.
I don't mind.
All right.
Overrated boxer, fighter. Most overrated, Floyd Mayweather Jr.
Really?
Yes.
He's not a great boxer.
No, he is a great, but his resume is not one like Sugar Ray Leonard or one.
Another huge part of the criticism centers on the exhibition era. Oscar has repeatedly argued that Floyd's heavy focus on non-traditional events, celebrity opponents, and crossover money fights shows exactly where his priorities lie. Instead of using his post-prime years to elevate serious boxing or mentor the sport into a healthier future, Oscar believes Floyd has leaned heavily into spectacle. The Logan Paul event is one of the clearest examples people point to. It generated huge attention and huge money, but in the eyes of many boxing purists, it offered very little in terms of sporting meaning. To Oscar, that kind of event represents the core problem. Boxing becomes a stage for celebrity traffic and paper.
This kid Ryan Garcia, Tank got his followers from kicking Ryan Garcia got his followers from YouTubers. There's a difference. So you want to be a YouTuber or you want to be a fighter? Tank is a fighter.
What the fuck? So Ryan Garcia's not a fighter? He's been fighting since he was 7 years old. He has 200 plus amateur fights. I don't care where his followers come from, if they come from fucking Mars. The fact is that Ryan's followers are selling this fight. And plus, don't you remember you fought YouTubers? Are you putting YouTubers down? You profited from them. I can't with you, dude. You're fucking dumbass. I can't wait. April 22nd, Ryan Garcia fucking knocking out Tank Davis.
Frustration goes even deeper than a single exhibition. He believes Floyd has helped normalize a version of boxing where the biggest draw is no longer the best challenge, but the easiest spectacle with the biggest audience. In that world, influence matters more than danger, clicks matter more than craft, and fame becomes a substitute for legitimacy. Floyd has made millions doing it, and Oscar knows that, but he also believes the sport itself pays a price when its most visible stars keep.
Floyd Mayweather fought another exhibition against Gotti last Saturday. A real show that left the crowd booing in the arena at the end. But in the middle of the second round, Floyd literally had the referee swapped out. He didn't like that the referee told him to stop hitting behind the head. Floyd is used to having the refs do whatever he wants, and he wasn't getting his way this time. It was so embarrassing. Floyd, you're 50 years old. You're a legend in the sport. I've stood up for you in countless interviews, including Shannon Sharp's podcast last week. But you have to stop embarrassing yourself with these exhibitions. I know life is hard. I know life is expensive. But come on, dude, put your legacy first. Nobody wants to remember you like this. And it gets worse. Your jeweler filed a lawsuit against you in Miami. And many are saying you're gonna have to sell off your assets. Floyd, I'm rooting for you. Come on, let's turn it around.
Jeff Mayweather has also added an interesting layer to the conversation by suggesting Floyd's tension with Oscar was never just a normal fighter rivalry. According to Jeff, Floyd had a hard time accepting that Oscar was once the bigger financial draw and the bigger attraction in the sport. That kind of imbalance clearly bothered him. Floyd has always wanted to be the main event in every room, the biggest name on every stage, and the center of every financial discussion. From that perspective, Oscar represented something Floyd could not tolerate for long. Another man occupying the throne he believed he was destined to claim. That may be one reason their public relationship stayed so bitter. It was never just about punches. It was about...
He can't be a successful promoter if he's always wanting to be in the spotlight. His desire to be always noticed, always the one that is at the center of attention. You know what I mean? It's like, you look at Adrian Broner, Adrian Broner, he's supposed to have beef with Tank Davis now, throwing him in there with Lomachenko, which I think he's ready for Lomachenko.
That same need to remain the center of attention, critics say, has also limited Floyd as a promoter, instead of using his platform to fully lift the next generation. Some analysts believe he often ends up overshadowing his own fighters. Names like Gervonta